Here's Brody Brazil.
You know, the topic, and I suppose the real premise of this video, are very near and dear to my heart. Because it's who I am, personally and professionally, and where I've been, what I'm doing, what I hope to continue doing for the rest of my years. And I hope you'll find this conversation interesting too. I've been thinking about this for a while, kind of basing my central question around this. Is the modern day sports reporter being replaced or surpassed by content creators? Let that sink in for a second. I've chosen every single word here carefully, intentionally, and specifically. Sports reporter, let's begin with that. Maybe the traditional person who would cover sports on television or for a radio station or a print outlet like a newspaper. The modern day traditional sports reporter, are they being replaced or surpassed? When I say replaced or surpassed, maybe job-wise, there aren't as many opportunities for the traditional sports reporter anymore, kind of the one-trick pony person who does just one thing as a specialty. So replaced maybe in terms of a job, or how about just surpassed? Like the typical sports reporter, the traditional sports reporter just isn't getting as many views or eyeballs or attention as content creators. Now, what are content creators? That is such a wide open term. I mean, by definition, I've been a content creator for more than 25 years now. I've been making content since the 90s. We just never called it that until the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years. But content creators could be anybody. Somebody here on YouTube, or if you've had a podcast for a while, or if you're just big on social media. There is no real overarching definition that really gets down to what exactly a content creator is. It could be a number of different things. Usually it's multiple things that a content creator does. But the premise here, the central question, is the old way of doing it being surpassed or replaced by the new way of doing it? And I also want to make one observation here, because I think I can initially answer the question and say, yes, that might be happening, but here's my observation to go with it. Sports media, and by that I mean sports people who work in media, sports media who exist exclusively in those legacy mediums of like working for a television station or a network or a publication or a radio station, people who work only for one place and only do one thing and don't have a podcast and don't have a YouTube, they still exist. They just work for a traditional platform. The only way and place you can find this person is on a traditional platform. That type of sports media person still exists, but they are trending far less common than ever before. It's hard to find somebody who just has a radio show. I guess the better way to put it is that everybody's got a side thing or a separate thing or something else that they're doing, a new media form of their presentation to go along with maybe the traditional form of what they do. That's just kind of my observation. There's not many people who are only doing it the old way. And so I think we really have arrived at the era of the sports content creator. There's no question about it. Like, this isn't new. But now that we've seen it for a handful of years, I think we can say that we are deep in this era. So what's different about this era? Number one, buttoned up isn't really a thing anymore. I mean, nobody's coming here on YouTube to make videos in a suit and tie, right? It just doesn't happen. And maybe people feel more comfortable. Like when it's you and I say talking right now, it's me talking to you, but hopefully this feels conversational to you. I'm just as you'd find me on any Monday or Tuesday afternoon. This is what I look like here in the home studio. It's just not so buttoned up. It's not so formal. It's not so stiff with makeup. And yeah, of course, I mean, there's bells and whistles and lights here, and this probably feels more like a television studio than my home studio, but you understand the point. Like, buttoned up isn't really a thing anymore in the content creator era. Nobody expects you to be presenting like an evening news anchor anymore. And on that note, viewers, I also think, prefer real talk versus polished or scripted or a delivery off a teleprompter. Now, I could easily, like some people do on YouTube, I could script every single video I do. I could write all the words on that screen over there, and I could just read those words to you, edit after every mess up, edit, see, like I would have edited right there, edit between sentences, there's no gaps, I just do it in one take. And sometimes I have to make some cleanup edits. In fact, I think I've already done one in this video, but I try and do it all in one take because I think viewers prefer real talk with some flubs, with some retractions or circling back on things to make them right versus, hi, I'm Brody Brazil and I talk like this and I do all my videos and sound like this. And there's all these different voice inflections up and down until I get to the end of a sentence. Like I used to do that. That's what people for television and radio are trained to do. That's the polished, that's the scripted, that's the teleprompter delivery. But I don't think viewers, you let me know in the comment section below, I don't think you prefer that anymore. There's also this, which is a little bit more critical to accuracy, to integrity. Reporters of old school eras and the ones that still exist, they aim for objectivity, right? They're trying to not be biased. They're trying to see something both ways. They're trying to present it without any sort of attachments to it. Whereas creators, content creators, I think are almost expected to offer perspective. And maybe this comes to us in a different age of debate shows on television with sports, and look what sports radio has turned into. It's literally a 24/7 debate. There's not a lot of learning, and there are some good interviews, don't get me wrong, but it's, for the most part, it's a lot of back and forth. It's a lot of conflicting views, and that's simply what I guess people want to listen to. But in this day and age, creators are expected to come to the table with some opinions, come to the table with some perspectives, come to the table with more than just, well, here's what happened. People want to know, why did that happen? People want to know, what's your opinion on that? What's the background on that? Fill me in on this. So the content creator era has definitely changed what's expected in terms of, well, actual content. I also think that legacy media, and I don't think this, I know this, has so many timing and format constraints. Whereas here on the internet, we don't. Like, for example, if I were doing a television show right now, first off, nobody would have ever let me talk for 7, 8 straight minutes to start off a show with my own graphics. We got to take a commercial break. Imagine if I just said, hey, we'll be right back after this. And I do know that YouTube sometimes plays commercials during my videos or before the videos. That's fine. But there's no media timing and formatting here on the internet. You do a podcast and you need to take a commercial break. You take it when you're ready. Let me tell you how it works in television. Producer gets in your ear. Hey, we got 2 minutes until the break. 30 seconds left. And they start counting you down. 10, 9, 5, 3, 2, 1 to break. That's it. You go to break. You have to go to break. You work on the clock in television and in radio. And in print, for example, you only get so many words. On the internet, it's as long or as short as you want it to be. On television, on the internet here on YouTube, it's the duration you want it. You take your breaks or you don't take your breaks. You do whatever you want. And I think viewers, quite honestly, prefer that. Creators here on social media or in the content creator era, they can also cover like global stories versus legacy media, which, if you work for a regional network or a local television station or a local radio station, you're kind of only covering the main things in your area, right? So it opens up, and I've experienced this firsthand on this YouTube channel. I used to just cover the stuff I did for work. And then I realized I'm more interested in other things beyond just this. Maybe this is my avenue. Maybe this is the platform where I could and should do it. I started doing it, and all of a sudden I reached a lot different audiences. So I think you have to retrain your mindset of, I'm not just doing this on the internet. Some people do, and they do it just well. I'm covering these stories, and I'm not paying attention to anything else. But all of a sudden, when you widen out the view, you realize that it's just a lot more opportunistic for the content creator than it is for the traditional sports reporter. Here's another one. Legacy media, right? That's been studied and taught in colleges and universities for decades. I mean, look at me. Degree in broadcast journalism from San Jose State. They taught you how to write a story. They taught you the ethics of being a traditional reporter. Now, this is more news, less sports. But same ideas applying here. How to present, how to anchor a show, how to read a script, all that stuff. They taught you how to do this. But there is no equivalent now. Like for content creators, are they teaching that in college? Is there a degree of content creator? There always was for broadcast media, broadcast production. I mean, the production is not that much different, but the actual presentation of it, like I said, I just feel like this is such a shift. Who could even teach content creation in a university or a higher education situation? Because it's constantly changing. By the time a textbook is written on how to make a YouTube video, the algorithm changes, right? So it's just a crazy time in the era of content creation that things are happening so quickly, it's hard to keep up. But I do think things have changed. Let me get to my takeaways. I've already gone way longer than I wanted to here. I think what the internet has done to television, like from sports reporters to content creators, that's probably what TV did to radio back in the days, in the 40s and 50s. And there's television now. Then there's color television. And I think what happened was people were shocked by, the old way we used to do it is gone. It doesn't exist, and it'll live on, but it will never be the same. That's kind of what we're witnessing with old media versus this new media. In business and in life, I have learned this lesson already. I'm maybe midlife, and I've already understood this. There is the constant need to evolve and to never let yourself get set in stone. If you entrench yourself in that old media and you think that, as a worker in sports, that, things will never change and I'll have this job, it'll stay this way forever. I mean, I think that's probably applicable to all jobs, all trades, all fields, all that stuff. You can never let yourself get set in stone. It's just not going to be that way. But I do think that roles and personalities and kind of the rules of broadcasting, they just aren't defined like they used to be. I don't want to say it's like the wild, wild west, but the rules just aren't there anymore. You want to put a jump cut in your video? Fine. We would never allow that on television. What's a jump cut, you ask? You probably know, but to the point, right? It's different expectations. We're in a different era. And I know people were trained on something like I was, but it's not that way anymore, and it may never go back that way again. That's the end of my video. Hopefully you found this interesting. Let me know if you did in the comment section below. If you want to add something you thought I missed, I got right or I got wrong, I'd love to hear about it. Also, thumbs up down below helps me, the channel, and the video. And don't forget to subscribe. Hit that button right now. I'd love to see you back here next time.